Thank you. I appreciate everybody coming here today. This is another update that we want to bring to the public. That's the primary point of today's press conference, is make sure we're getting information out to the public. So we really appreciate all of you being here today to help us with that. Also want to say a special thank you to all of the people that are out there working this disaster and have worked this disaster. Unbelievable. You guys have been out there, we've been out there, and whether it's neighbor helping neighbor or a sheriff's deputy or somebody in our road department or street department with the city, Corps of Engineers is here. This whole community is coming together to help with this disaster, and it is a disaster. It's been about 60 hours now since this hit, and we're kind of counting it in hours right now. We'll start to go to days and beyond that. And just a couple of things that just to put it in perspective since then. We don't know exactly what hit us yet. There's a lot of news out there about tornadoes, et cetera, and that may very well be accurate. National Weather Service is going to be here to give us the exact determination of what we were hit with here. And hopefully they'll be on site in the next day or so. But as you can imagine, the National Weather Service is very busy right now as well, because there have been a lot of these incidents. That night, starting at about 1:30 until about 5 in the morning, the 911 centers in the county, ours, Bentonville, Rogers, Siloam, took more than 1,200 calls. And that is a lot. To give you an idea, in our 911 center overnight, we will have 4 dispatchers there typically. And that's, I don't know exactly how the others are staffed, but it's going to be in that ballpark. And when you start to think about that number of calls coming in, that was a lot coming in. We brought in extra dispatchers. I'm sure the cities did as well. But that was a tremendous, tremendous surge in activity that we have not seen before. Since that time, our road department at Benton County has been out clearing, and we've cleared probably 500 miles or so of road. And that's not just your typical grading. We have all sorts of pictures of roads that the before picture doesn't look like a road at all. And it's been really, really a tough grind. We think we have almost all of our county roads open now to at least 1 lane, and by that we're just taking the debris and shoving it into the right-of-way and moving on. The most important thing is that people have access to their homes, that first responders have access as well. You'll recall that I did a verbal emergency declaration early that morning, I think about 2:30 in the morning. We have since actually signed that declaration. I've talked to Governor Sanders about that. She's also talked to the President about that, as has been reported. And so we are well down the path of what it will take to get to a presidential declaration for this disaster. Speaking of Governor Sanders, she was here yesterday. We walked several neighborhoods. There was a contingent of our federal delegation, Congressman Womack, Senator Bozeman, and a number of others who saw the destruction firsthand, which was really important. And our partnership with the state has been phenomenal since the moment this started. Also, we've been communicating, collaborating with our cities. I was on a phone call about an hour and a half ago with all of the mayors in Benton County and their staffs, updating them on what we're doing with regard to a couple of issues that I'll come back to in just a second. We've had excellent partnership with our federal delegation, particularly in the interaction with FEMA. FEMA is here now. They're in the assessment phase now. They're in the air, actually, I think, as we speak. And they will be on the ground assessing properties in person tomorrow, working with Adam and working with our emergency management staff. So what I want to do today is I'm going to update on a couple things, and then we have a number of folks here. I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Holloway and then some other folks that you can either ask questions of or who have a couple of statements. So I'll turn it over to Sean in just a minute, and as we have people come up, they'll introduce themselves. First thing is, one of the key issues that obviously is of concern is debris removal. We have not seen, that I can recall, an incident that has created debris to the extent that we have now. We are working extensively on identifying locations to take debris, and right now we have 5 to 7 sites. Some will be open to public, some will just be sites that we can utilize for municipal and county debris, but we will shortly have updates on where the public can take debris and what we will do with debris that is in various neighborhoods and other locations. What we're planning to do, at least in the county, and I know we've had a call to cities, and cities will do their thing as well, but we'll be able to pick up organic debris that's moved to the right-of-way. In other words, move it to the roadside. We'll be able to pick up organic debris, trees, limbs, things of that nature. And it's really important that citizens separate that from the other kind of debris. So if you have a couch that was injured, you have a couch that was damaged, or debris like 2x4s or things like that, fencing, those have to be kept separately. And we'll have more information out on our website about all this. But debris is something that we're going to start working on right away. and look for our Facebook page, our social media, our website for information on that, along with our cities. We'll also have a process shortly to handle what we call C&D waste. That's that furniture and that other kinds of debris that we're talking about. There will be options for that to be picked up at some point in the future. We don't have that identified yet. It depends in part on getting that presidential declaration. And we're also working with our convenience centers, the one in Centerton is an example, another one in Rogers, for household hazardous waste. And so we're going to get more communications out about how people can deal with household hazardous waste as a result of this incident. I would just say that there are rules that have to be followed. We can't just do this willy-nilly. We have to follow rules very specific from FEMA and from ADEQ and from ADAM to dispose of the waste, and we'll make sure to communicate that to citizens so that we can have this go as smoothly as possible. But please recognize, have some patience. It is going to take a long time to get this cleaned up. And our plan, at least at the county, is to have not one but 2 run-throughs of people along their right-of-way to pick up their organic waste. The next thing I would ask is, we have on our website a link for personal damage assessment. This is where folks who had damaged their home, we're not talking about fences or trees down, but actual damage to your home. The best case, the best example rather, is if you've had a tree through your house, you can go out to our website and register that. That's really important. We need to have a very good record of all of the damage in Benton County. As I mentioned, FEMA's going to be out looking at this. They're with ADAM in airplanes looking at this, and they're going to be on the ground looking at this, but there's no way in a county this size that they're going to catch it all. We need citizens to go record their damage. What that will do is, as we go towards a presidential declaration, it will help us with personal damage reimbursements potentially to citizens, depending upon if you're underinsured, don't have proper insurance, or in other circumstances, there might be reimbursements available from the federal government.